This video we will see the foramina in the fossa of the cranium. We have the three cranial fossae. First, the anterior cranial fossa. The first foramen is the foramen cecum for the transmission of the imaginary vein. Foramen cecum. And then we have the cribriform foramina for the transmission of the olfactory nerves, which is the first cranial nerve. And we have in the middle cranial fossa, we have first the optic canal. This is the optic canal for the transmission of the optic nerve, ophthalmic artery, and the central arterial vein for retina. This is the optic canal. Optic canal, posterior side. This is the optic canal for the transmission of optic nerve, ophthalmic artery, and central artery and vein of retina. Secondly, we have the superior orbital fissure. This is the superior orbital fissure from anterior side. That is superior orbital fissure. Superior orbital fissure. It is for the transmission of the third cranial nerve, which is for the oculomotor nerve. Fourth, the trochlear nerve, and the ophthalmic branch of the ophthalmic division of the fifth cranial nerve, and also for the superior ophthalmic artery. Superior ophthalmic vein, sorry. Transmission of the superior ophthalmic vein. And we have the foramen rotundum, which is here, leads to the pterygopalatine fossa. Foramen rotundum. That's the foramen rotundum. It is for transmission of maxillary division of trigeminal nerve. It only transmits the maxillary division of trigeminal nerve, which is the fifth cranial nerve. We have the foramen ovale. Foramen ovale, it's oval shaped. It is for the transmission of the mandibular division of the trigeminal nerve, and for the lesser petrosal nerve and accessory meningeal artery. That's foramen ovale. Foramen ovale. This small foramen is the foramen spinosum. This is foramen spinosum. It is for the transmission of the middle meningeal artery. This is foramen spinosum. Transmission of the middle meningeal artery and the meningeal branch of mandibular division of trigeminal nerve. Meningeal branch of mandibular division of trigeminal nerve. Here we have the foramen lacerum. This is the foramen lacerum. That's it. The foramen lacerum. Inferior side. These two are the foramen lacerum. In life, it's closed by thin fibrocartilage from the inferior surface. It's closed from the inferior surface, not from the inner side of the skull. And running through it is the carotid canal. This is the carotid canal. This is the carotid canal. You can see. This is the carotid canal. The carotid canal for the transmission of the internal carotid artery. And also here we have the over the foramen lacerum we have the deep and greater petrosal nerves, which become the nerve of the pterygoid canal. Nerve of the pterygoid canal formed from the deep and greater petrosal nerves. And that's done for the middle cranial fossa. We have the posterior cranial fossa. First, this is the internal acoustic meatus. Internal acoustic meatus. It is for the transmission of the 7th and 8th cranial nerves. 7th, the facial nerve, and 8th, vestibulocochlear nerve. Vestibulocochlear nerve. We have the jugular foramen. These are the jugular foramen. They are irregular shaped. The jugular foramen is for the transmission of the 9th, 10th, and 11th cranial nerve. This is the jugular foramen. From inferior aspect, these are the jugular foramen. Jugular foramen is for the transmission of the 9th, which is the glossopharyngeal nerve, and for the transmission of the 10th vagus nerve and 11th the accessory nerve, as well as the internal jugular vein. Internal jugular vein. We have the hypoglossal nerve. Hypoglossal canal. This is the hypoglossal canal. hypoglossal canal. From anterior side, see, that's the hypoglossal canal for the transmission of the hypoglossal nerve. Hypoglossal nerve. We also have a variation. These are called the condylar canals. The condylar canals. This is the condylar canal. Here we go. Again, the condylar canal, it transmits the condylar imaginary vein. This is a variation, does not occur in every specimen. Condylar imaginary vein. At the base of the skull, we also have this is the condylar canal. We also have the mastoid notch or the mastoid foramen. This is the mastoid foramen. It's also a variation. It transmits the mastoid imaginary vein. Mastoid imaginary vein. We have the stylomastoid, which transmits the facial nerve. We said the facial nerve is transmitted through the internal acoustic meatus. That's right, and it exits from this foramen, the stylomastoid foramen. Entrance is here for the facial nerve. This is the entrance, and it goes out through the stylomastoid foramen. These are the jugular foramen. The jugular foramen. This is the carotid canal. Carotid canal. This small one is the foramen spinosum for the middle meningeal artery. This is the foramen ovale, and these were the foramen lacerum. On the roof of the oral cavity, we have some foramina. This is the incisive fossa. This incisive fossa leads to the incisive foramina on the ridge of it. Incisive fossa leads to the incisive foramina. These incisive foramina lead to the incisive canals. Through them, the nasopalatine nerve passes through nasopalatine nerve and the greater part of the sphenopalatine vessels. Nasopalatine nerve and greater part of the sphenopalatine vessels. And here we have the greater, these are the greater palatine foramina. Greater palatine foramina, and these two are the smaller palatine foramina. They transmit the greater palatine nerve, artery and vessels, all three. This also transmits the lesser palatine nerve, artery and vessels. And here we have the mandible. In the anterior aspect we have the mental foramen. These are the mental foramen for the transmission of the mental nerve. And from the posterior aspect we have the mandibular foramen. This is the mandibular foramen, which leads to the mandibular canal. That's for the transmission of the inferior alveolar nerve. Inferior alveolar nerve. This small projection above it is the lingula. This is the lingula above the mandibular foramen.